Okay. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Today is the 21st of October. This is the Finance Administration Committee and a special meeting of the Board of Directors of West Basin Municipal Water District. So let's please determine if we have a quorum. EJ, if you could do a roll call.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Director Tommy Fabai. Here. Chairman Scott Houston.
Here.
Director Desi Alvarez. Director Don Deere. Here. Director Gloria Gray. We have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's see. Public comment. Is there anyone from the public who wishes?
Mr. Chairman, we have not received any requests for public comment prior to this meeting, though this meeting is being held both in person and virtually. If there's any member of the public that would like to speak under public comment, please indicate so by raising your virtual hand. And Mr. Chairman, I do not see any requests.
Very good. Thank you. Let's see. Item 4 is presentations. We have no presentations today. So we will move to our action calendar. Item 5A, the approval of minutes. EJ Caldwell, if you could please introduce that item.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this item 5A will be presented by Desiree Quintero, our Manager of Administration and Board Secretary. This item begins on packet page 3.
Yes, thank you, EJ. Good morning, members of the committee and board. As EJ mentioned, approval of minutes can be found beginning on packet page 3. The minutes for the West Basin Municipal Water District Board of Directors meetings are an integral part of the public meeting process. Minutes provide a history of the actions taken at board meetings, which is informative not only for members of the public, but for other stakeholders as well. Minutes for the September 22nd, 2025 regular board meeting have been attached for consideration and can be found beginning on packet page 4. With that, I would like to read the recommendation that the board approve the September 2025 regular board meeting minutes. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Did I hear or see that? Is that Director Gray is on the line now?
Yes, she is.
Director Gray.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm
Great,
here.
excellent. Thank you. So we confirm you are present as well. And with that, Director Fabai, do you have any questions on the minutes? Okay, Director Deere. Questions? Okay. And Director Gray, I don't think you probably have any questions on the minutes.
No, thank you, Chair. No.
Thank you. So with that, I would move forward with recommendation of yes to the full board. Director Fabai?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 5B is in boy, approve sponsorship of fiscal year 2025-26 community outreach events. We have 4 to discuss. EJ, if you'd please introduce that item.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item 4B will be presented by Hazel Vasquez, our Deputy Board Secretary 2, and this item begins on packet page 8.
Good morning, Chairman Houston, members of the committee and board. As EJ mentioned, this item begins on packet page 8. So I will go ahead and get us started with the first event for your consideration. The El Segundo Rotary Club is hosting the annual puzzle hunt from Saturday, November 8th through Sunday, November 16th. At this time, Director Houston is recommending that the board approve sponsorship of the puzzle hunt for $500. This sponsorship would offer West Basin a speaking opportunity and a booth at their puzzle hunt after party that is scheduled to be held on Saturday, December 6th. Although the event, the puzzle hunt itself happens in November, we will receive our benefit in December if this item is approved. West Basin has not previously sponsored this event. However, the district did recently sponsor the Moves in the Park event earlier this year for $500. The documents submitted by the organizers for this request are included in attachment A, and you can see that beginning on packet page 11. Up next, the City of Carson's Department of Community Services, Recreation and Park Maintenance is hosting the annual Veterans Day celebration on Tuesday, November 11th. Director Fabai recommends that the board approve sponsorship of the Veterans Day celebration for $1,000. This sponsorship would grant West Basin with the opportunity for an advertisement in their event program. Now, West Basin hasn't sponsored this event in the past, but as you are all aware, we do work with the city and their various departments quite a bit on various things. The documents submitted by the organizers for this sponsorship request are included in attachment B, and that begins on packet page 17. Another Carson event, the Carson Sheriff Station Support Foundation is hosting their 5th annual golf tournament on Monday, November 17th. At this time, Director Favai is recommending that the board approve sponsorship of the golf tournament for $1,000. This sponsorship would grant West Basin an information booth at table at the event, as well as an advertisement. We have not sponsored this event in the past, however. The documents submitted by the organizers for this sponsorship request are included in attachment C, and that begins on packet page 22. The last item for your consideration today, this is the Carson Gardena Dominguez Rotary Club's annual Operation Gobble event on Thursday, November 20th. At this time, Director Houston and Director Favai each recommend that the board approve a sponsorship of $500. And that's from each. So that would give us a total of a $1,000 sponsorship for Operation Gobble 2025. This sponsorship would provide an advertisement opportunity via the distribution of West Basin flyers during the event. So we would be providing materials to be included in the actual food boxes that they are providing their attendees. West Basin did sponsor this event back in 2024 at the recommendation of Director Houston, and we did so for $500 and received a similar advertisement opportunity. This one did include logo placement with conservation messaging on their event materials. The documents submitted by the organizers for this year's request are included in attachment D, and that begins on packet page 28. And then just very quickly, as we always do, on packet page 10, you'll see the fiscal impact for sponsoring these. So approving sponsorship of these events in the amounts that have been requested, which total $3,500, would leave a remaining balance of $32,050, and the details for that are shown in attachment E on packet page 35. And with that, I will read the recommendation. Number 1, Director Houston recommends that the board approve sponsorship of the El Segundo Puzzle Hunt 2025 from Saturday, November 8th to Sunday, November 16, 2025 for $500. Number 2, Director Favai recommends that the board approve sponsorship of the City of Carson Veterans Day celebration on Tuesday, November 11th, 2025 for $1,000. Number 3, Director Favai recommends that the board approve sponsorship of the Carson Sheriff Station Support Foundation golf tournament on Monday, November 17, 2025 for $1,000. And last but not least, number 4, Director Houston and Director Favai recommend that the board approve sponsorship of the Carson Gardena Dominguez Rotary Club's Operation Gobble 2025 event Thursday, November 25 for $1,000. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Let's see, any questions, Director Favai? None? Okay, Director Deere. Director Gray.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, very good. I have no questions. I support all of these, and so I would recommend yes to the full board. And Director Favai
Yes.
concur. All right. Thank you very, very much. Okay. Now we'll go into our information calendar. Item 6A, the fourth quarter financial summary.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item 6A will be presented by Wendy O'Kelly, our Chief Financial Officer. And this item begins on packet page 36.
Morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Chairman and members of the committee. So today we'll start out with the fourth quarter financial summary on the information calendar. And this is for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. These numbers are still unaudited, but overall West Basin is showing a strong and favorable financial performance for the year. The performance is a result of 3 components, and that's going to be revenues exceeding budget projections, expenditure or costs remained within the appropriations that the board adopted, as well as the results of the first 2 impact our debt coverage ratio, which is strong, and then also that has an impact on our cash and our reserve levels as well. So I'll take you through those aspects. So we might bounce around a little bit on the page numbers. For the year-to-date net operating revenues, our actuals is $233 million versus the budgeted amount of $222 million. That is shown on the bottom of the revenue section for page 41. And this was based on a couple of factors. If you look at the potable water sales, we did outperform our budget expectations, and we exceeded that by 9%. And this is primarily due to the improved customer demand. And those figures will be found on page 38 for potable water sales. Another contributing factor was our recycled water. While not exactly on target, we did show some improvement in that area. From last fiscal year, it's a $1.5 million improvement as far as our net loss. But also looking at the department level on the expenditures, the department did stay under budget. So scaling back on expenses for various reasons contributed to some of that improvement as well.
Sorry, which department was that?
Recycled water, our operations. And then a final contributing factor to our revenue was our investment income. So where we budgeted and where we actually landed was $800,000 more that we realized in investment income. And just giving you a reference, that would be found on page 40. And if I could move on to the expenditure management for last fiscal year, the results that we are showing, we show that the departments did do a better job managing cost and staying below or within budget. So if you look at page 41 as well, in the middle section of where it says operating expenses, aside from the water sales for imported water purchases and the purveyor, both of those represent the pass-through costs. You will see the departments are aligned with the budget expectations for that fiscal year. Overall, we're at 103%, so 3% in expenses over budget. But again, large contributing factors are those water sales coming in higher, so the costs come in higher as well. So some of the drilling it down, we can look at personnel and attribute this to maintenance, and then also some contractual expenses. They were managed more effectively for fiscal year 24-25. And then in addition to that, page 42 and on just gives you the breakdown of those departments if you wanted to take a more detailed look. But I'd like to skip over to page 48, which is our CIP. And where we budgeted versus where we came in for our year-to-date actuals for fiscal year 24-25. For some of our capital projects, those were shifted to 25-26. Others were completed, but we did account for about 41% of that budget for 24-25. And all of this brings back the bigger picture of our debt coverage ratio and where that positions West Basin at overall. And so our net position continues to strengthen for our debt coverage ratio. As you know, the budgeted target is 1.75, and we ended up at 1.88 for debt coverage ratio for the fiscal year. And again, these are unaudited numbers. We are in the final stage of our annual audit, and we'll bring those final numbers back to you with our auditors in attendance as well. And before I move on to the quarterly debt report, just wanted to touch base, see if there's any questions or comments.
Let's see. Any questions, comments? Questions, comments, Director Deere, Director Bray?
No, thank you.
So, well, big picture looks pretty good, right? I mean, especially the debt coverage ratio, which we've always been talking about.
Yes.
So you guys are, hitting it off the mark, which is what we would appreciate. So, when does the audit take place?
So currently we're doing the back and forth discussions with the auditor, but we've submitted them all the end of the year numbers. So they do have our records as of October 6th, and our deadline for GFOA, Government Financial Officers Association, is December 31st. But we anticipate getting the final numbers. Really, I think we're on any day. We have one question that was presented to us today, so we're at the final stretch.
That's good. And I just would like to ask Mr. General Manager if you'd please make any comments on this outcome, please.
So obviously, we knew as we were going through the budget that the fourth quarter was going to be looking pretty good. I'm very pleased, and you're going to get information in the coming presentations when it comes to our monthly financial reports that again, we're trending in the right direction. I do believe that all of the care as far as crafting and proposing and adopting a budget, all of that work, I know it seems so tireless when you're doing it and you're in the middle of the budget adoption, but you're seeing the fruit of that labor. Clearly last year was a year that is putting us on track. And again, the work that we did this past year on this current fiscal year, I think is going to be well served. So put this information together with the information that you're about to receive. And I think you're going to feel pretty good about where we are.
And, kind of as I was sitting here thinking about it, I just wanted to express my appreciation to the staff, of course, because, I think the last 2 to 3 years, give or take, we've done a really good job between the board's priorities and staff reacting to that. And you've done an excellent job to manage the costs, to, try to make this place run much more lean. I know it's asking a lot at times, but it is important. And we're seeing, some of the fruits of the labor coming through, right? So these good numbers, yes, we look good on paper, but while we're also trying to, prioritize our different infrastructure projects and other things. And so I just want to say, one, I appreciate that. And then two is, it's hard to believe, we are pushing the end of October. So we will be starting our new budget discussions very soon. EJ, does that happen a little more toward January? I don't think, we don't really talk too much about things formally yet until after December.
So the internal process definitely begins in January. We start to set all of those workshops that begin in March, April, May. One thing that we are very lucky to have at this time is a new chief financial officer who's bringing, I think, not just a different perspective, but a needed perspective as far as what we can do, how we can do it, and basically, I would say make your jobs easier. Presenting the information that you need to make the decisions that ultimately we need to make, and doing it in a way that provides opportunities for feedback from all of our customer agencies and communities, and being efficient with that. So she and I had a chance to meet last week and start talking about what that process would look like and opportunities to improve our budgeting process overall. So we're very excited about where we are. And I think in January, we're going to begin having those conversations with the board to outline exactly what that process will look like.
Very good. Well, thank you for that. And so let's move on to, I guess it would be 6B, right? 6B is in Boyd, quarterly debt report.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
So pursuant to West Basin Municipal Water District's debt management policy, I present the fourth quarter debt report. This is also showing the full year perspective. And the quarterly debt report does provide an overview of our outstanding debt obligations and those key financial ratios that are required under the district's policy. So at the top of page 51 of your packet, it provides the actual debt portfolio, different debt portfolio and the bond issue, the outstanding balances, and also the maturity dates on this first page. Then also, if you scoot down a little bit towards the middle in the bold area, that is going to be our debt service payments for principal and interest. And so for fiscal year 24-25, we have completed that obligation and paid our annual debt service. So what you're seeing is in other quarters, you would see a quarterly payment, but now you'll see the full impact for the full year. And then on page 52 is really a standard form that we present to the board. We keep this in just in case we do encounter anytime some fixed variable rate conversions or swap rate conversions. So this is just the net variable rate obligation form. And again, it just provides how much of our debt is exposed to those changing interest rates, which at this time there's none. And with that, I can hand it over to Stephanie for the monthly reports for fiscal year 25-26.
Go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Good morning. Good morning, Chair Houston, directors, and staff. As required by West Basin Administrative Code, Staff is required to submit various financial reports to the board to keep them apprised of the financial condition and future needs of the district. The 4 monthly reports that the finance team presents are the demands list, cash and investments, water sales, and the travel reports. We will start with the demands list, which includes all the disbursements for the month of September, starting on page 56 through 59. I'd like to mention there are 3 payments that make up 82% of the disbursements. The first payment is a Met payment in the amount of 13.6 million. That accounts for 67% of the total. And we have 2 months of Veolia that accounts for 15% of the total disbursements of 20.5 million. And do we have any questions in regards to the demands list?
I have a question, just so I understand, on page 56, so there's a company, it's called Direct Energy Business. Check was what, 95232, there's utilities for, it says treatment plants and for Downville Deer, what is this company? It must be a utility.
It's a utility,
Yeah,
and I can have,
Yeah, I can answer that.
Stephanie.
Yeah.
go ahead and
It's
answer.
the electricity bill.
Okay.
It's the monthly utility we have every month for our operation.
Okay, so we use a company called Direct Energy Business or something like that?
So you may recall, we have actually, over the last, I think, 3 years have entered into a specific agreement for energy for our facilities. Jason Kung has always provided those presentations. There is, within those agreements, there is a savings for West Basin Municipal Water District. So annually, we bring that back for consideration. And Eric, if you have anything to add.
Yes, Mr. Caldwell, it's worth noting that this is just for our generation. We also will have an SCE bill associated with conveyance. So
Okay,
you will see both.
so this is for generation, so what does that mean?
In your energy bill, you'll have 2 components to that. One is for them to produce that energy, whether that's from a coal-fired plant or solar, wherever it comes from the grid. And the other is just using the grid to convey and get that to your house. We here at West Basin have the same structure. However, there are programs that allow us, because we use so much energy, that allow us to find better pricing through these third-party providers who, and I won't pretend to know all the ins and outs of how they do it, but they can offer us better pricing than our SCE local provider. And so the district a couple of years ago entered into one of these agreements as I think a pilot that has its worth. And so we are seeing a savings there from what we would be paying for SCE generation, but you can't get around using SCE system to get that power to your site. So you still have to pay that conveyance portion.
Gotcha. Thank you, by the way, for the explanation. And then I see, obviously, we have the Edison bill in here too, so you can kind of figure out how much it all is costing. But I appreciate that because I wasn't aware of the name of that company per se. So let's see. Any questions? Any other questions on our demands list? Director Fry? Director Deere? Director Gray?
No, thank,
All right.
no, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. And well, let's go ahead and move on to the next portion. Thank you.
The next report is the cash and investment report, starting on page 60. As of September 30th, 2025, our total portfolio market value is 66.7 million. Also on this page, you can see the various security types that make up our market value. The next 2 pages is our credit quality and maturity. And on page 67 or 64 to 75, the transaction ledgers for the month and glossary. Are there any questions in regards to the cash and investment report?
Any questions?
No.
Any questions, Director Deere? None? Questions, Director Gray? Okay,
No, thank you.
no. Thank you. I have none. You can continue.
As we begin the review for the September water sales, please keep in mind that this is the first month with Jacobs on board at ECL. We have our monthly water sales report starting with imported water on page 76. The month of September, the acre feet is 8,373, which is higher than FY25 and budget. We end the first quarter with imported water at 25,433, which is higher than budget, and 452 acre feet under FY25. Our next table is our imported water or imported barrier. September's acre feet is 188, which is lower than FY25 and budget. We end our first quarter imported barrier at 1,221 acre feet. And that is lower than budget and FY25. Our last report is the recycled water, and that is on page 77. September's acre feet is 3,260, which is higher than budget and FY25. And we end the quarter recycled water at 8,784 acre feet, which is lower than budget and higher than FY25. And then below that is a breakdown of the recycled water, which is barrier, refineries, and disinfected tertiary for acre feet for September. Are there any questions in regards to the water sales?
I just want to hold here for 1 sec because I want to ask a question. It's probably more EJ, but how did things turn out with the Chevron fire issue? Has that affected any of our water demand?
No, and in fact, I asked about our infrastructure that is on their site. Those tanks have been in use continuously after the fire. And so we assume that there's no impact to the infrastructure there on their site. And they've continued to utilize recycled water without much of an interruption. So been noticeable from an outsider's perspective.
You're obviously in touch with them on what's happening over there.
We are definitely in touch, but I would say that the information in relation to what took place and happened on that site, we don't have much additional information. One thing that I would note is that we are working with Jacobs on attending a future board meeting to present kind of an overview of their first couple of months. What we're trying to do is have some data produced for them to deliver that to the board of directors. So we want to give them a little bit of time to really see where we're at. And so we have something of substance to present. But this will be one of those issues that they'll touch on because it's, again, from an outsider's perspective, we haven't seen much of an interruption, but we don't have the details that maybe we'd like to have.
Very good. Thank you, by the way, for mentioning Jacobs, because I was going to ask about that, because I do believe that we should have them come talk to the full board at some point. So I know you're working on it. And I was asking the Chevron issue, especially on water sales and, what may or may not have been impacted. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, by the way, just so you know, I believe Jeff Wilson's going to make a presentation of some kind at the El Segundo Council meeting tonight. I saw it on the agenda in the beginning. So, at some point, maybe you can look at the video or see what he had to say.
We'll definitely monitor that.
But obviously, everybody's kind of wondering what's going on. But back at the end of the day, life is pretty normal, in El Segundo where I live. So, just people would love to have as much information as they can. I know it's a lot of sensitivity to it, but, we'll find out. And that being said, they've been a great partner, of course, with the district. And so I just want to say thank you to all the staff who works with them on this issue and the surrounding communities, obviously it's a big challenge for all of us when any of these systems potentially go down or fail, because it does trickle out to even us as the water district potentially. on what their operations are doing. So, so thank you for that. Let's see. You have to go forward with more, don't you, Stephanie? We're not quite done yet. So go ahead.
Next, we have our directors conference and travel expense on page 78. Year to date through September, our directors conference and travel expense is $7,179.19. And a budget of $75,000, leaving a balance of $67,820.81. And then finally, we have our executive management and staff travel expense, and that is on page 79. Year to date through September, our expenses for staff and executive were $9,704.48, with a budget of $101,000, leaving a balance of $91,295.52. And that concludes my report for item number 60. And glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Director King?
No questions.
Okay, questions, Director Deere? Questions, Director Gray?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. And I will just have one question. Again, it's more for EJ, but you know, we've been talking a little bit about meeting with the county regarding sales of recycled water to the injection wells. EJ, just have you gotten any traction yet on getting a meeting set up for the county?
Yes, so we are working with the Water Replenishment District as far as scheduling that meeting with staff. That is right now in progress, but I did want to note, if you go back, we're actually doing fairly well as far as our imported water to the barriers. And so that's a very positive thing. And I would note that despite that you're seeing that decrease, or along with that, you're also seeing an increase in the production and sale of recycled water. And so that chart that showed not only are we above our last year's sales of recycled water, but we're also ahead of budget for this past month of September, which is a very positive thing. It's a trend that I want to see. You can see it here. We've continued to really work and focus in on production and delivery. And so I hope to see that purple bar continuously above our budget.
Excellent. All right. Well, very good. Thank you. And thanks, for being ready with answers on these questions. Let's see. We will move forward. Item 7, closed session. We have no closed session today. Item 8 is director's comments for future agenda items. Director Pavai, any comments?
No comments.
Okay. Director Deere. Director Gray, do you have any comments?
Oh, just thank you to staff for all their great reports today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President. And I have no further comments except for excellent work as always by our staff. We are getting toward the end of the calendar year, and I think we've been doing pretty darn good this year. So I appreciate all of that. We also know we've got the 30th anniversary lunch coming up this week. We've got water harvest on Saturday, so it's an extremely busy time before we get even into the holiday season. So I just want to also say thank you to everybody. I'm looking forward to the next 2 to 3 days of activities, and just want to say thanks in advance and looking forward to that. With that, our next scheduled meeting, it says is going to be on November 18th, 2025. However, my schedule just changed. So as the chair, I will not be here that day. So I'm going to have to talk to EJ and Desiree to look at a different date to put this next month's meeting. And with that, we are adjourned.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, everyone.